You were in a hole, and so was I.
They want us.
9 of El Padrino raises the stakes higher than ever as one of the most feared figures finally steps onto the Ten Petal Ranch. For weeks, we've heard whispers about his influence, his reach, and the kind of power he holds over everyone connected to the ranch. But now, he's no longer just a name. He's here in person, and his arrival changes absolutely everything. Right from the opening moments, the atmosphere feels completely different. The ranch, which has always been a place filled with tension, suddenly becomes even more unsettling. Every character senses that something major is about to happen. Even those who usually stand their ground seem cautious. That's because El Padrino doesn't need to threaten people with violence to make his presence known. His reputation alone is enough to keep everyone on edge. One of the biggest strengths of this episode is how slowly it builds suspense. Instead of rushing into action, the story allows viewers to feel the pressure mounting. Every conversation carries hidden meaning. Every glance between characters suggests that alliances are shifting behind the scenes. It's the kind of storytelling that rewards paying close attention. As El Padrino begins speaking with the people on the ranch, it becomes clear that he hasn't come for a friendly visit. He's here with a purpose. And whatever that purpose is, it could reshape the future of the Ten Petal Ranch forever. His words are calm, calculated, and deliberate. He doesn't raise his voice because he doesn't have to. Everyone already understands the consequences of disappointing him. The episode also shines a light on the difficult choices facing the ranch's leadership. They've spent the season trying to protect their land and the people around them, but now they're dealing with someone whose influence stretches far beyond anything they've faced before. Every decision suddenly carries enormous consequences. One particularly interesting aspect is how different characters react to El Padrino's arrival. Some immediately try to earn his respect. Others become defensive, refusing to bend under pressure. A few seem genuinely...
You were in a hole, and so was I.
They want us.
Variety of reactions gives us clues about who El Padrino really is. The show never needs lengthy flashbacks to explain his importance. Instead, it lets the fear and respect of others tell the story for him. That's incredibly effective storytelling. Another highlight is the growing mystery surrounding what El Padrino actually wants. At first, it appears he's interested in business. Then the episode hints that his motivations could be far more personal. There are references to unfinished business, old loyalties, and debts that have remained unpaid for years. If that's true, then his arrival isn't simply about taking control of the ranch. It could be connected to events long before the current story even began. That possibility makes every interaction far more intriguing, because viewers are constantly trying to piece together the larger picture. Meanwhile, tensions among the ranch's own members continue to rise. Trust has already been fragile throughout the season, but El Padrino's presence only exposes existing cracks. Characters begin questioning each other's loyalty, wondering who might secretly be working for someone else. This creates one of the episode's strongest themes. Power changes people. Some characters become desperate to protect what they have. Others see an opportunity to gain influence by aligning themselves with El Padrino. The result is a ranch divided at exactly the worst possible moment. The performances throughout this episode deserve special praise. The actor portraying El Padrino brings remarkable control to the role. Rather than relying on dramatic speeches, he creates tension through subtle expressions, long pauses, and carefully chosen words. Every scene feels unpredictable because you never know what he'll do next. The cinematography also supports the storytelling beautifully. Wide shots emphasize how isolated the ranch has become, while close-ups capture every nervous glance and silent reaction. The lighting grows darker as the episode progresses, reinforcing the feeling that danger is closing in from every direction. One scene in particular stands out when El Padrino quietly explains that respect cannot be demanded. It must be earned. While the line seems simple, it carries enormous weight because everyone listening understands there's an implied threat behind those words. By the second half of the episode, it becomes increasingly obvious that negotiations may no longer be possible. Both sides have their own goals, and neither appears willing to compromise. That creates an overwhelming sense that violence could erupt at any moment. However, the writers wisely avoid turning the episode into nonstop action. Instead, they focus on psychological warfare. Conversations become battles of intelligence rather than physical strength. Each character tries to outthink the other, making every dialogue scene surprisingly intense. Another fascinating element involves the younger members of the ranch. They've spent much of the season learning how dangerous this world can be, but El Padrino introduces them to an entirely different level of power. His influence extends beyond guns or money. He understands how to manipulate fear, loyalty, and ambition simultaneously. This lesson could shape the future of several important characters moving forward. Some may emerge stronger after facing him, while others could be permanently changed by the experience. The ending leaves viewers with far more questions than answers. El Padrino's true objective still hasn't been fully revealed, but the groundwork has clearly been laid for a major confrontation. Whether his goal is revenge, control, redemption, or something even more unexpected remains unclear. One theory is that he's testing everyone before making his final move. Throughout the episode, he carefully observes how people respond under pressure. Rather than forcing immediate decisions, he allows individuals to reveal their true nature. If that's a strategy, then Episode 9 is only the opening move in a much larger game. Another possibility is that someone on the Ten Petal Ranch has been hiding information connected to El Padrino's past. Several conversations hint at secrets that have remained buried for years. If those secrets finally come to light, they could completely change how we understand the entire season. Whatever happens next, one thing is certain. The ranch will never be the same after El Padrino's arrival. His presence has shifted the balance of power, exposed hidden divisions, and forced every major character to choose where their loyalty truly lies. One of the most fascinating questions raised by this episode is whether El Padrino has already accomplished part of his mission before anyone on the Ten Petal Ranch realizes it. Throughout the story, he never appears to be in a hurry. Instead, he carefully watches how everyone reacts to his presence. That patience suggests he's gathering information rather than forcing immediate action. In many ways, the psychological impact of his arrival may be even more dangerous than anything he physically does. It's also worth paying attention to the silence between conversations. The episode uses pauses and facial expressions to hint that several characters know more than they're willing to admit. Whether it's guilt, fear, or loyalty, those unspoken moments become just as important as the dialogue itself. They encourage viewers to look beyond what's being said and focus on what isn't. Another theory is that El Padrino understands the weaknesses of every person on the ranch before he even arrives. Powerful figures rarely rely on force alone. Instead, they identify what motivates people, whether that's family, pride, revenge, or survival, and use those motivations to influence decisions. If that's what he's doing here, then every conversation becomes part of a much larger strategy.